What is persuasion theory? Persuasion theory is a field of study that examines how people are persuaded to change their attitudes, beliefs, and behaviors. It seeks to understand the factors that influence the effectiveness of persuasive messages and the ways in which people process and respond to those messages. The study of persuasion theory is important because persuasion is an integral part of human communication, and the ability to persuade others can have significant social, political, and economic consequences. For example, political campaigns, advertising campaigns, and public health campaigns all rely on persuasive messages to change people's attitudes and behaviors. Theories of persuasion can be grouped into two main categories, namely, cognitive and emotional. On the one hand, cognitive theories of persuasion suggest that people are persuaded by the information and arguments presented in persuasive messages. These theories suggest that persuasion is a cognitive process in which people weigh the arguments and evidence presented in a message and come to a reasoned conclusion. One of the most influential cognitive theories of persuasion is the elaboration likelihood model, or ELM, developed by Richard Petty and John Cacioppo in the 1980s. The ELM suggests that persuasion can occur through either a central or peripheral route, depending on the individual's level of involvement in the message. When people are highly involved in a message, they are more likely to process it through the central route, which involves careful consideration of the arguments presented. When people are less involved, they are more likely to process it through the peripheral route, which involves less careful consideration of the arguments and more reliance on peripheral cues, such as the credibility of the source or the emotional appeal of the message. Emotional theories of persuasion, on the other hand, suggest that people are persuaded by the emotional appeal of persuasive messages. These theories suggest that persuasion is an emotional process in which people are influenced by the emotional tone of a message, rather than the arguments presented. One of the most influential emotional theories of persuasion is the affective response model, or AIM, developed by Alice Eagley and Shelley Chaikin in the 1990s. The AIM suggests that people are persuaded by the emotions elicited by persuasive messages, and that these emotions can influence attitudes and behaviors. For example, a persuasive message that elicits fear may be more effective in changing behavior than a message that relies solely on rational arguments. In addition to cognitive and emotional theories, there are also several other theories of persuasion, such as social judgment theory, which suggests that people are more likely to be persuaded by messages that fall within their latitude of acceptance, and inoculation theory, which suggests that people can be inoculated against persuasive messages by exposing them to weaker versions of those messages. As we can see, persuasion theory is a rich and complex field that seeks to understand the factors that influence the effectiveness of persuasive messages. By examining the cognitive and emotional processes that underlie persuasion, researchers hope to develop more effective and ethical strategies for changing attitudes, beliefs, and behaviors.